My name is Deena Giordano Ullom. I am an attorney and also VP of People Operations at UTSS. At UTSS, I've been using it for a little bit over a year, but I have been using OKRs for the last couple of years. What I loved about the OKR framework is that it worked in sprints, so that you could see progress along the way. If you had a big corporate goal, for the year, you could see things that were adding value throughout the year, and it helped focus teams toward a common purpose. I was doing an internet search, and Profit.co had a lot of good features for one, and a lot of good reviews. So, and the experience was so easy from beginning to end, low pressure, sales pressure, but very informative, very helpful, and they made it very easy. I introduced OKRs into the organization I knew I wanted to do it at a corporate level. So I started in HR and the people operations side, and I introduced them there. And just in last year, we saved over $300,000 in the department to show the value of the OKR, and how it worked and how they were measurable. So that made it real easy to pitch to the owners to spread throughout the company. So after we used it just in our small department in people operations, starting in the fall, I was talking with the owners about setting the corporate goals, having them be transparent, and having each department work toward those goals. I told them of my experience in that first year with Profit.co. We bought the coaching package and worked with Avi, who was wonderful. And not only I think we were supposed to have 5 coaching sessions, but he just went above and beyond. And he said, anyone that needs anything, just get on my schedule and I'll help you through. So I know I had an extra hour call. I know 2 other members of the team each had hour calls with him about implementing in their departments. So he was so wonderful and helpful in helping us, create the framework for our first year. So that was great. So I've been watching and, just trying to get into the habit of the weekly check-ins and things like that. So right now it's basically department heads, but we're going to over time and over this year, push it down, into the departments, into the supervisor level as well. When I first started Profit.co about a year and a half ago, I guess, there were some things that I had to work around and try to figure out, but everything that made perfect logical sense of how it should be very quickly started to happen without me even saying anything. It's like, well, I wish it would do this, or I wish it would have a button that did this. And it was like, boom, within weeks, it was like someone could hear me talking, because it would just all of a sudden pop up. And the product updates come so quickly and regularly and are very useful, and it just keeps improving and getting better and better. So in that first year of use, from day one to year's end, it's like an exponential improvement in the product itself. I mean, it sounds like they're taking customers' feedback to heart and doing really quick rollouts. I feel I'm getting something every couple of weeks with new product rollouts, which is great. I had done a lot of research on OKRs and best practices, so I really just tried to put those into place and read the things on the OKR, but the Resource Center. So read a lot of the best practices there, as well as on OKRs in general, and really worked to focus people on those things. Held the regular meetings and check-ins, and so then it just became normalized within a couple months. And especially, we had a young team, and so the younger people, when they could see the work they were doing, even though sometimes it was highly administrative, when they could see the result of that, being hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings, it was a lot easier, one, to adopt, but two, for them to see the purpose and value in what they would do, even if sometimes it seemed tedious. Well, Sue is amazing. She's a rock star and it cracks me up because she says she works part-time, but it doesn't matter what time, day or night, that I contact her. She gets back to me immediately. She always gives me good, relevant information or puts me in the right hands. She's a lot of fun. When we talk on the phone, we're always giggling about something. We both have boys, and similar in age. So we always talk about our sons, our prides and joy, which is always a nice connection to have with someone. But she told me she has about 300 accounts, but I feel like I'm the only person, on her account because she's, so responsive. I mean, you would never know she had 300, people on her plate, but anytime I need anything, she always makes time for me. She always checks in. And again, what I personally, just the way that I like to do business, I don't like high sales pressure or anything. And Sue is the opposite of that. She comes from a place of caring and curiosity. And so the account has grown with her just from that genuine relationship that we've created and my trust that I've had in her. I mean, the chat function is great. The one time I had an issue and they said, hey, can we call you? And so then I'm like, sure. So we jumped on it. I presume a Zoom call. And 3 people were on the phone, 3 people. And it was a complicated issue. It wasn't anything having to do with Profit Co. It was Microsoft had done an update. So 3 people jumped on and they took hold of my screen and anyway, found out a workaround to get me into Teams, to integrate Teams. But I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like I said, we're in our first quarter of full implementation. So we do see progress. I mean, one of the corporate objectives is profit. So, we could now see and relate, because the company, as lots of companies do, tend to work in silos, but we have our people install medical equipment, like, mammograms, x-rays, things like that, like all over the country. And so the project coordination team, they're the ones that schedule the hotels and the flights and things. So they could see what they're doing and how it affects the profit. And if an installer works a whole bunch of overtime, like how that affects, now everyone's starting to see the impact, and again, where do I fit in here and how do, my actions and behaviors and decisions, affect the greater corporate objectives. I really think it's a paradigm shift in the mindset and what we're doing. We're not just doing it for ourselves or our department, but we're all working together towards these common goals, and we all can play a role. It doesn't matter if you're the administrative assistant or the CEO. You could save money. You could, if the administrative assistant or the office manager can, price things out, for the office supplies a little bit better, and you could actually see how that's impacting profit. So I think that's really great. Overall, it's good for them and good for the company.